U.S. and Israeli officials say Israel and the Iranian-backed Lebanese militia Hezbollah are close to a ceasefire deal that could see a 60-day truce between the two sides. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly approved a ceasefire deal in principle, and Ambassador Mike Herzog said a deal could be reached, quote, within days. What does that mean for Israel and the multiple front war that it's been fighting since October 7th of last year? That terrorist attack by Hamas. Joining us to talk about that and more is Congressman John Rutherford, member of the House Ethics Committee and the Appropriations Committee, where he serves on 3 subcommittees, including Homeland Security, and he represents the 5th Congressional District of the great state of Florida. Congressman Rutherford, good to have you with us.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Mark. Great to see you.
Last time we were together, we were talking a little bit about our trip to Israel. You and I were there along with Tom Cole, the chair of the Appropriations Committee, just a few weeks ago. We met with Benjamin Netanyahu. There was no talk of a ceasefire deal then. Are you a little surprised that we have one potentially now?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm completely surprised, Mark. I think, speaking with the Prime Minister and his defense minister, they were trying to work on and discover a way to get to a ceasefire settlement. And so I'm not surprised, I would say, but, it's also not a done deal yet, as the security cabinet, the Israeli security cabinet has indicated. But I do think, and if, as you remember, when we spoke with Defense Minister Gallant in Israel, he mentioned then that, they were going to need this buffer zone with the southern border, or their northern border with the southern border of Lebanon, to be sure that they pulled back far enough that they could create a buffer zone there to protect Israeli and, quite frankly, Lebanese citizens in those areas. So I'm glad to see this development. I'm glad to see that America is playing a role. They're going to have a security committee that's going to be involved in this, and so hopefully this 60-day kind of wind down will actually work out.
Yeah, the area that's in contention below the Litani River, which previously the UN had declared off limits to Hezbollah terrorists, and yet they had got in there and infiltrated that and fired upon the people in the Golan Heights. In fact, some 60 to 70,000 Israelis are now displaced out of their homes. So it just makes sense that they're able to call this area again off limits to the Hezbollah terrorist.
Yeah, listen, I think that was one of the linchpins of coming to an agreement. And it sounds like they may have actually done that now. So we can hope and pray. That would certainly be something to be thankful for at Thanksgiving.
That certainly would. Of course, they also had the threat still from Hamas, and they have the threat from Iran, which is funding these terrorists. What do you hope to see from the incoming Trump administration with regard to Israel and the support? We're going to have a great new ambassador. Governor Huckabee is going to be the ambassador to Israel.
Right.
When we were there, we met with Jack Lew, the current ambassador. How will things be different under Ambassador Huckabee?
Listen, I think you're going to see a much more structured response from America to Iran. President Trump got us out of the JCPOA last time. I think that was a necessary move, and I think we're going to see President Trump really make a hard stand for Israel in that area. He was after several presidents having said that they would move the embassy to Jerusalem, President Trump actually did it. And so, I think that just shows his commitment to peace in the region. And I think, Mark, on our trip, when we were able to meet in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, it sounded like there were real cries for peace in the region, and I think President Trump is going to come in and be that focal point that will help those all of those countries come together and really send Iran a very strong message that the destruction that they are creating through these different proxy wars is going to stop. And if not, I think Iran will be held accountable.
Well, the leaders, that we met with, the king of Egypt, I'm sorry, the president of Egypt, the king of Jordan,
right.
The Saudi officials, they just want to return to normalcy so they can have normal relations with Israel, so they can conduct business. Egypt is losing over $600 million a month in lost revenue from the Suez Canal.
Yeah. Listen, in fact, I had a great follow-up call with the ambassador to America from Egypt, and he talked about the need to stabilize the Red Sea area and the impact that it's having on their resources in the area. As you mentioned, a tremendous loss, and I think that 800 million was like 60%. Or something of their revenue that they normally generate through the Suez Canal.
Yeah, definitely something needs to get done. And I'm so glad that our destroyers are over there. We went aboard a destroyer that's actually helping. There's 5 or 6 of them over in that region helping protect Israel from incoming attacks from Iran and other terrorists. Real quick, we got about 30 seconds left. Let's talk about the criminal court that wants to put the former defense minister Gallant and Netanyahu in prison, calling them war criminals. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Listen, this kangaroo court, this illegitimate criminal court, we passed the Illegitimate Criminal Court Act back in June of this year out of the House. I would ask the Senate to pick that up. It's very important that we send the message that we are not going to tolerate an effort to isolate Israel.
Thank you, John.